and the Players Association, they're in the middle of a collective bargaining agreement. So the biggest issue right now is not just getting the salaries up, but increasing the revenue share. I think the revenue share is something like 9%, where the NBA is 50%. And I believe the Players Association is trying to get that up to 30%. And it's been a stall. So that's the biggest thing, especially with the growth of the league and the attention of the league, more eyes on it, giving the women what they should be paid, especially in the revenue share.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
it's very interesting because I was friends with a couple of the Bulls in their heyday in the Six Pete era. And I used to have these conversations with one of them in particular, who won the 3-point contest multiple times, but couldn't seem to find a job in the NBA after he said a few things about what it really was. And what he said was this very issue: the amount of money that the National Basketball Association made, even with 6-figure salaries, was still not comparable to what they should be making. And he referred to it as slave labor. And that certainly did not go over well with the league owners. And, you can find yourself blackballed.
Yeah, speaking up will definitely do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of women have taken chances and said those things, not slave labor, but have spoken out about the league and how players are being treated, and sometimes the basic necessities that I don't know if you guys realize there's no pension. There's no
Wow.
pension in the WNBA. The
Mm.
NBA, they play 3 years and they get a pension. We don't have that. So stuff like that, where you would think that's a bare necessity, that's a given. We don't have that. So
Let
we
me
have a long
share.
way to go.
I want to share one of the great ironies in the news that I think is right in line with this conversation, and that is this: the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which should be establishing parallel pay structures between the NBA and the WNBA, has now launched an investigation of Nike for discriminating against white employees at Nike. And Nike's central argument is that they complied with diversity, equity, and inclusion laws, which has been the long-standing pattern of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission when hiring women and African Americans and former athletes to work at Nike. And now the government has turned the law on its head and is now suggesting that those African Americans, Hispanics, and others who work for Nike can no longer rely upon the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission in order to fight on their behalf to demand that, let's just not say Nike, corporate America treat them fairly. And what I'm hearing from Val is that women's sports cannot rely upon the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission to stand on your behalf for what you're entitled to do in this process. Gina, does that sound like what we're looking at here politically?
And it's amazing that we are at that place and that the WNBA has to go through this process, which is a process that we've gone through so many times, almost in everything that we've done in history. We have to go through this kind of process to fight for what is equal, fight for what is right. And so how does the Players League, work in this environment? How do they choose to negotiate?
Yeah, when did they start negotiating? What are we, February? I think they started a month after the season ended, October, November. And no, I think it started in October. And now they're at a standstill. It's like moving towards a strike, which I think it's bad timing to have a strike because how the league has grown and the popularity has grown, but it may have to be a strike for the league to do what's right by these ladies.
And to get the public sentiment to back you all up. Was the league caught off guard by the popularity or the press that Angel and Caitlin got? I mean, that seemed to spark a lot of interest, and all of a sudden people were watching and paying attention. So were they caught off guard?
I don't know. You could see the growth happening slowly. It was slowly growing, the league coming back to popularity. And then the year that those two players came into the league, it just spiked. And I think they were caught off guard. They didn't realize it was going to be, I guess they're almost in the mainstream now, because women's basketball, it was not really mainstream. It was more a niche, I'm a women's basketball fan. You meet somebody like, oh, you're a women's basketball fan. Now it feels like everyone's a women's basketball fan. Everyone can name different players in the WNBA and on college women's basketball. So yeah, that's a good point, Gina. I'm not sure if they were prepared for this growth.
Interesting.
I'm thinking in this moment that that women's sports is probably the most overlooked growth industry in the United States. When I saw the appeal of Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark amongst young girls seeking to have their gym shoes signed, and for these young ladies to find heroes in both. And then for the stars, Val, of the league, who had not gotten the recognition for the records that they've set in the WNBA, and then Caitlin shows up, kind of the new kid on the block, when you have some players who are multiple league MVPs and still not making the kind of money that Caitlin was making. There's almost no justification for it. And so the way that I think has to be remedied is in the collective bargaining agreement. It has to be remedied for former players who helped build the league but still find themselves without a proprietary interest in the growth of the league going forward. Is there any talk about the role of those who have retired from the league being able to benefit from the foundation that they've established and laid?
No, that's been I'm a member of the National Basketball Retired Players Association. So it's NBA players, Globetrotters, ABA, WNBA, and they have the NBA players. They have health care after they retire, and I told you about the pension. And the players seem to be more involved in the retired players seem to be more involved in the NBA. But with the WNBA, it's like when you're done unless you're like Elisa Leslie or Cheryl Swoops or Sue Bird, those players like that, then they're always in the eye, and people always talk about in the league bringing them in to do things. But players like me that had a short career and not really well known, we're kind of like, what about us? So I hear that a lot. Like we want, fly us in for the for All-Star game. Give us speaking engagements, have us do basketball camps with the league. So people who were in my generation can also still feel like they belong.
Gina?
I don't want to gloss over this. And I think we may have enough time to at least start to touch on it. And, this is what I've been thinking all week long as we've been covering Black history this week. Almost every day, we've gone through the accomplishments and what happened on this day in history. But it's very eerie to me that I hear you having this conversation, and then I reflect on what you say your experience has been, and then someone like Caitlin, who is vastly talented. I mean, she is incredible, great, but how much does race play a factor in how she was brought into the league? And that gets to be sometimes very subjective for people in the league, according to what their belief system is. And so, have you seen that kind of disparity, or did people talk about that?
That conversation is all over WNBA Twitter.
Chuckle, chuckle.
especially, yeah, I'm laughing because it's, I've had that conversation. I've been yelled at on Twitter and cussed out. And race is a factor. That doesn't mean, I'm not saying because she's white, that's why she's good. I'm saying the fact that she's white is what brought people to want to support her. She's a white woman dominating in a black dominated sport.
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
And that brings eyes, and they see themselves in her. So yeah, I respect her game, but we have to also recognize that race is a big factor in her popularity.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More without lighting when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is launching TrumpRx.gov, a new direct-to-consumer platform aimed at lowering prescription drug costs.
But they're going way down for the United States.
The administration says the site will cut out middlemen and offer discounted medications from companies like Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Eli Lilly, and others through most favored nation pricing agreements. Martin Luther King III is criticizing the National Park Service for allegedly, quote, sanitizing history, end quote, at a Mississippi museum honoring civil rights leader Medgar Evers. The agency reportedly edited brochures that described Evers' racist killer and details of the assassination, prompting backlash from civil rights advocates who say the changes downplay the role of racism in U.S. history. And the governors of Maryland and Virginia met with Black D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser to strengthen regional cooperation on public transit and other priorities. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Why do we grill to order at Waba Grill? Because it's just better for you. And our Asian-inspired menu has high-quality proteins that are healthier for you. Download the Waba Rewards app or order online at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill. It's for you.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Seattle Seahawks are holding firm as a 4.5-point favorite over the New England Patriots for Sunday's Super Bowl. It's a 3:30 p.m. kickoff local time on NBC. For streamers, you can catch the game live on Peacock. As for all the TV commercials people are waiting to see, a 30-second spot is costing advertisers an average of $8 million. Matthew Stafford is the first Rams player to be voted NFL Most Valuable Player since quarterback Kurt Warner in 2001. Only two other Rams in franchise history have won MVP, running back Marshall Faulk in 2000 and quarterback Roman Gabriel in 1969. Tonight at 6, you can get your Friday night sports fix, out of bounds in prime time. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough for 60 minutes of sports chatter with some black folks flavor. You're welcome to join the conversation at 1-800-920-1580. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic tax relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
They call it progress, but progress has a price. Land once held in black hands, taken, stolen, erased. Acres paved into highways, fields burned. Homes replaced by parking lots and broken promises. Every deed lost was a dream deferred. We talk about millionaires, but what about the millionaires that never were? The farmers whose soil was seized. The families who watched their inheritance disappear. The wealth that never had a chance to grow because its roots were ripped from the ground. They took the land, but never the legacy, because the soil remembers, and so do we. Every story matters. Our mission is to collect, preserve, and amplify these stories. If this is part of your family's history, visit blacklandlost.org/share your story and help bring us closer to justice.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our very special guest in this hour is Val Whiting, American athlete, former collegiate and professional basketball player. She played center for Stanford Cardinal women's basketball during her 4 years of pre-med study at Stanford. Val, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
And it's Fat Meat Fridays with Gina Towns. Gina, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you, Jesse Jackson Jr. And welcome back, Val.
Gina, you had some insights that you want to share on mental health with respect to the sport.
We started talking about a little bit of where I was going to go with that before we took the break there, and one would think that being a professional athlete, although we know our history, it's part of our Black history and it's still part of what we live through today. But sometimes I just think, doesn't it just get under your skin to go out on the court, to give of your mind, your body, your spirit, and to not be appreciated in the manner that other people or other athletes are? What does that do to your psyche as you're trying to be in the game?
It's something I never really thought about. And back when I was playing in the WNBA and in the American Basketball League, it was such a grassroots movement, meeting kids, going to schools, doing free clinics, that I never really thought about not being appreciated for what the work we put in until after I retired and look back and see how the game has grown.
What are you up to now, Val?
Up to now, I'm currently a mental performance coach. I have a master's degree in sports psychology with a specialization in applied mental health performance. So I help athletes play their best when it matters most using mental skills.
And was that your specialty? If you had gotten to, I mean, you went to medical school, obviously, so you had, an area of interest. And was that your interest at the time?
No, it wasn't. I kind of got into it because when I played in the W, I struggled with my mental game. I spiraled so badly that I had to actually take a season off for depression. I didn't have the skills to manage pressure, expectations, performance anxiety, none of that. I even went to sports psychologists and they didn't give me the tools. And so what I do now, I don't want athletes, female athletes specifically, to go through what I went through. And how I got into it is that in 2020, the pandemic hit, I lost my job and I became a creator on TikTok. And I started getting a lot of sports psychology questions from female athletes. My coach is benching me. I lost my confidence. What should I do? Or when I make a mistake, I can't bounce back. I keep holding on to it. And so I'm like, oh, okay, there's a need for this. Let me go get trained, get certifications, go back to school. And I've been working with clients for 6 years now, mainly female athletes. And I just recently launched a program called Mentally Strong Her Academy because I want to make what I do more accessible because everybody can't afford one-on-one coaching. So I created an academy where it's a community of female athletes who are working on their mental game, who want to be the best in their sport, in school, and in life. And I'm really proud of it because I want to help as many athletes as possible.
I've struggled with depression my entire life. And, I reflect upon some of the great athletes of our era who were celebrated for their physical prowess or even their skill in whatever sport it might have been in, from baseball to basketball to boxing. But very little emphasis has ever gone into the study of the headspace, the mental space, the hype space, the preparation space, the mental acuity space, and how as a human being, even before performance is expected of you, you bring all of the aspects of what it means to be human to the endeavor. You have bad days too, right? I mean, we have feelings, we have children, we have families, we have things that come onto the court with us when we enter the locker room and when we step onto the court. And I find that fascinating that you've given serious consideration to what it takes to develop the mental space of performance. And I'm wondering if beyond sport, it's translatable into other spheres of human endeavor.
Oh, definitely. In the workplace, the stress that executives and managers and coordinators and employees go through, just knowing, confident and making sales, and as well as running a company, all that's mental. That's not just that's not skills they teach you. So, and I've worked with businesses before in how to approach your business like you're an athlete, how to have the focus, how to bounce back when something happens at the job that's not conducive to you moving forward. How do you get out of that? So it's definitely trickles into business, but also when I work with student athletes, these skills go into their schoolwork. Have athletes who are shy and would stress out when I had to do a PowerPoint presentation in front of the class. Now they have the skills to overcome that anxiety, or they're scared to take a test and they have a big test coming up, not having test taking anxiety and using breath work and visualization to help them get through that. So it's all connected. And The hardest part for me is to show parents that it doesn't mean if you use me as your coach, it doesn't mean that something's wrong with your daughter. She's not broken. We're just giving her skills to help her level up in her sport and in life and in school, and put just as much time as you do putting up 500 shots a day as you do on your mental game, and it will pay off. And the best athletes are working on their mental game. They're not just putting work in the gym. And when you get to a certain level, everyone is the same talent-wise, physically. It's what's going on between your ears that separates us.
Gina?
You know, I think this generation that has come along now that are, you know, in their 20s. I remember my daughter used to tell me in high school, so I'm thinking, why don't you come in here and tell me what happened in your day today? She says, Mom, it's not you personally. I don't have any more social energy. And I had to really kind of back myself up. And I thought, okay, let me try to understand that, because, you know, we grew up a certain way with a certain amount of stress, and nobody talked about mental health at all. It was taboo. But then you get somebody like Simone Biles, who is willing to take a break in the height of the Olympics and the height of what she's doing to say, hey, I need a minute. I'm not okay. And it's got to be okay for you guys to know I'm not okay so I can get okay.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We've got the pause for the twisties. More when we come forward on KBLA. Our very special guest is Val Whiting. More when we come back.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
LA Metro invites you and the whole family to a free community celebration on Saturday, February 7th at the Metro Willowbrook Rosa Parks Station in Watts. Enjoy live music, local art, and delicious food vendors as we celebrate culture, community, and good vibes. Come out Saturday, February 7th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Metro Willowbrook Rosa Parks Station. Don't miss it.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from Nitsa and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know about 1 in 3 people with plaque psoriasis may also develop psoriatic arthritis, which causes joint pain, stiffness, and swelling? Does this sound like you? Listen to what it sounds like to be a million miles away. Tremfya guselkumab, taken by injection, is a prescription medicine for adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who may benefit from taking injections or pills or phototherapy, and for adults with active psoriatic arthritis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Imagine being a million miles away. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya. Visit tremfya.com or call 1-800-526-7736.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Fat Meat Fridays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, and our very special guest for the last hour has been none other than Val Whiting, a pre-med student, but also a former Olympic athlete, as well as WNBA star and player. We've been discussing mental health and the disparities that exist between men and women's sports, including pay and every other conceivable aspect that constitutes discrimination against women, not only in sport, but in society as well. I've even gone so far as to advocate for an equal rights amendment to the Constitution, which has been a multi-decade battle. But in this moment, spending this time with Val, Gina, it makes it clear to me that if she had a constitutional right to equal rights as a woman, she would have the legal basis for challenging systems at every phase of her existence to do right by women.
Absolutely.
Without such a right in the Constitution, we find ourselves one athlete at a time, one story at a time, one discriminatory effect at a time, when the fact of the matter is all women should have this right, and the way to hold the system accountable is to make it constitutional. Gina?
Absolutely. And in addition to that, you have had several articles published nationally of late about healthcare and mental health. The thing about it is it's mental health. Nobody wants to talk about it. We would talk about every other, aspect of health. We will even talk about heart attack and stroke. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about cancer and all of its various forms, but we will not talk about mental health. But before we went to this break, we talked about the barriers that have been broken and the way that this generation is moving, very intent about taking care of themselves. How do you feel about that, Al?
Oh, me. Okay. Yeah, man, it's a stigma. It's taboo to speak about mental health, especially obviously in the Black community, Hispanic community as well. I never told anybody why I took off from the WNBA until 2020. I did a video about it. But back in 1999, what everybody thought, I took off for personal reasons. And I was too embarrassed to say that I was struggling with depression and too embarrassed to admit that I felt that I was weak and I didn't want to be seen as weak. So yeah, mental health, even now, it's not something that we are pushing to speak about. Even diabetes, and you talk about the medications for that, but when you talk about taking medication for mental health, the conversation seems to shift and people seem to close up. For me personally, I have to take medication for the rest of my life to maintain I have bipolar depression, and I have to take medication. I don't like that, but I have to take it because it's a biochemistry issue with me. But I'm not out in the streets yelling that. But if someone's have high blood pressure meds or diabetic meds, they have no problem talking about it. But even me still, who's a mental health advocate, I still find embarrassment to talk about the medications that I have to take.
Yeah, I don't think this new generation has that though. I mean, they're on their anxiety medicine. They have to take a break and take a pause. And
Yeah.
No, I don't have a problem. You know, I've struggled with depression my entire life, somewhere between high expectations and not being able to meet them. Those are highs and lows. Somewhere between just wanting to be one of the fellas and having expectations to be more than that, and then not being able to achieve some of your goals can be, you know, debilitating. And if it's happening every day and spirals out of control, it is what it is. But you're right. When we were growing up, you didn't talk about it. You lived with it and you kept it moving. I stayed in touch with physicians throughout my entire congressional career. And when I finally decided that I had just about had enough, people were like, oh, he's struggling with this, he's struggling with that. Well, it wasn't your business at the time. But since we're going to talk about it, let's talk about it, you know? It's a struggle. Yeah. And, you know, you think about the care that students have to go through after a school shooting, for example. All of that is in that space, right? You think about people who witnessed the death of Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis. They're going through something. If you saw Alex Preddy shot in that space, you're definitely going to be going through something. And so I can only imagine that, you know, these episodes that all people experience are exactly what we should be concerned about as Americans.
Absolutely.
And I'm grateful to hear, Val, that you are open about it, that you discuss it, because you're going to give somebody else courage. You're giving me courage right now, even as we speak. Gina?
But isn't it really that we don't allow people to be their authentic selves? That we prop ourselves up based on what society says that we should be, and we might not really be. Because for me, I don't know who it is that at some point in their life is not going to struggle with some sort of depression. I mean, if your parent passes, if your spouse passes, you lose a job, you move to a new place and it's not going so well, and you spend all your time trying to, you know, get to that location, or a career opportunity doesn't work. I mean, I just don't think that it's reality for us to continue as a human race to play in that space. And then a lot of it just has to do with having conversations with people, because Black people are, you know, in a whole nother space of generational trauma and, you know, some levels of depression because you see the depressed areas in which we live sometimes.
Val, you know, we are on the Jesse Jackson Jr. show. We always leave the last 2.5 to 3 minutes of our show for our very special guest to offer our listeners a word of hope. And as you gather your thoughts in this moment, I'm thinking that someone who's known the mountaintops of life and the top of the backboard, and someone who's also known the valleys of life has some meaningful stories to share on the questions of perseverance and resilience. Val, your final thoughts and a word of hope.
Oh, sure. What I am thinking and what I want to say is, when you're in the midst of it, it feels like the meanwhile. They don't call it mean for nothing, right? The meanwhile. And for me, my faith played a big part in not wanting to end my life. You know, knowing that I had God, I had Jesus, and I didn't want to disappoint them. And so when you're in the meanwhile, what do you lean on? Whether it's your family, whether it's your religion, whether it's look back at your, you know, what you have accomplished, but find something to lean on so that you have something to look forward to and to take you.
So proud of you, Val. And thank you for being such an inspiration to all of us. Gina?
Thank you.
Absolutely. We have about a minute left, Jesse. Can you give us your thoughts and your word of hope on this?
You know, I think about the mountaintops that Valerie has climbed. I think about the valleys that we all must traverse. And the muscles that we develop going up the mountain are very different than the muscles we develop coming down the mountain. But resilience and the ability to sustain. I found strength in community. I found strength in listening to Val's story. And Val has showed me that we don't have to be alone in our struggles, nor should we ever be. And so in community, I find hope. Love you, Val.
We love her. And if you talk with Val, she's at mentallystrongher.com.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Show. Our guest has been extraordinary, Val Whiting. More when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump